Very good afternoon, dear children. This is L. K. Tripathi, SST teacher from LPM Public School, Gola Bazar, Gorakhpur. My dear children, we are going to discuss about the nationalism in India. This is taken from our history chapter 2. This chapter will enable us to know about the nationalism in India. First of all, we have to discuss about the European Society of Modern Age, which started forming the nation states in their countries. It means that a new changes came in the mind of people to understand actually who were they and what defined their identity and sense of belonging. We can say the European society, which was associated with the formation of nation state that time, and people came to know about their importance living in the country, and they got opportunity to think about themselves actually who they were. New symbols and icons, new songs and ideas forged new links and redefined the boundaries of communities. It provided an opportunity for the people with all the new symbols of icons, new songs, ideas, beliefs, thoughts, which reconstructed the boundaries of community. In most countries, the making of this new national identity was a long process. How did this consciousness emerge in India? Many of the world countries had to spend a lot of time to identify this process, but here we have to understand about our nation. How did nationalism came in the mind of people of our country? In India, and as in many other colonies, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected to the anti colonial movement. People began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with colonialism. As we know that India was ruled by the colony, by the British, we were in sick of slavery for a long time, and a moment come when we started to thinking about the anti-colonial movement. Now we started to unite together against the colonialists to get India free. The sense of being oppressed under colonialists provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. And this type of thought came in the mind of people that India also must get free, and this was a very important thing for all the sections of society to bind together, to tie in a rope so that the demands of freedom could be presented before the colonial rulers. But each class and group felt the effect of colonialism differently. Their experiences were varied, and their notion of freedom were not always the same. But this was a big question before the people of the society to get India free from the colonial rule. Belonging from different sections of society, their thoughts, their ideas varied. And the motto of nationalism was not the same, it was different. Those whosoever were there in the society that time. The Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to force these groups together within one movement, but the unity did not emerge without conflict. A very identified and reputed political party was there in our country, that was Congress of that time. They tried to meet Gandhiji and form a group together, and all the nationalists should come together within one movement. एक मूवमेंट के अंदर सबको आना चाहिए, उनका जो भी आइडिया है, आइडियोलॉजी है या जो भी थिंकिंग है वो अलग नहीं हो। लेकिन यूनिटी ऐसी चीज़ है बिना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के नहीं आती। कॉन्फ्लिक्ट is such a thing which provide the opportunity to unite together, to gather together, and without unity nothing could be attained, that is impossible. In an earlier textbook you have read about the growth of nationalism in India up to the first decade of the 20th century. In this chapter, we will pick up the story from the 1920s and study the non-cooperation and civil disobedience movement. Two major movements we shall study this time, and the beginning of 20th century is marked as the nationalism in India. So we are going to start this story from 1920s. With two major movements. One was non-cooperation and second was the civil disobedience. We will explore we will explore how the Congress started to develop the national movement, how different social groups participated in the movement, and how nationalism captured the imagination of people. All these points to be discussed in the coming topics. First of all, number one, the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. What was this? Let us see. In the years after 1919, we see the national movement spreading to new areas. incorporating new social groups, and developing new modes of struggle. How do we understand these developments? What implications did they have? First of all, the war created a new economic and political situation. It led to a huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans and increasing taxes. Customs duties were raised and income tax introduced. Through the war years, prices increased, doubling between 1913 and 1918, leading to extreme hardship for common people. Villages were called upon to supply soldiers and the forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger. Then in 1918 and 19 and 1920 to 21, crops failed in many parts of India, resulting in acute shortage of food. This was accompanied by an influenza epidemic. According to the census of 1921, 12 to 13 million people perished, a result of famine and the epidemic. People hoped that their hardship would end after the war was over, but that did not happen. Next, the ideas of Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in January 1915. As you know, he had come from South Africa where he had successfully fought the racist regime with a novel method of mass agitation, which he called Satyagraha. In South Africa, he had seen the condition of blacks against the whites. That was a racist regime, and people started their oppose through the agitation, mass agitation, that is called Satyagraha. And same thing Gandhiji also came in mind to start in India. It is the Satyagraha, idea of Satyagraha is such a power of truth and also the need to search for truth. It suggested that if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. This was his extreme belief. He was the follower of non-violence. He always advocated the non-violence. He appreciated that all the facts and all the demands should be presented in peaceful and non-violent method before the oppressor. Without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. This could be done by appealing to the conscience of the oppressor. People, including the oppressors, had to be persuaded to see the truth instead of being forced to accept truth through the use of violence. By this struggle, truth was bound to ultimately triumph. Mahatma Gandhi believed that this dharma of non-violence could unite all Indians. After arriving in India, Mahatma Gandhi successfully organized satyagrah movements in various places. In 1917, he traveled to Champaran in Bihar to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive plantation system. Then in 1917, he organized a satyagrah to support the peasants of the Kheda district of Gujarat, affected by crop failure and a plague epidemic. The peasants of Kheda could not pay the revenue and were demanding that revenue collection be relaxed. In 1918, Mahatma Gandhi went to Ahmedabad to organize a satyagraha movement amongst cotton mill workers. Mean to say that when Gandhiji returned from South Africa to India, he walked the important cities of the country. First, he went to Champaran, where he had listened about the brutal condition of the peasants and indigo planters. They were harassed badly by the colonial rulers. Reaching there, he saw the poor and oppressive condition of the people, and he decided to start satyagraha from there. Returning from Champaran, he went to Kheda, that is in Gujarat, and the mill workers, cotton mill workers, were imposed high taxes. Farmers also were imposed high taxes by the British rulers there also. And finding Gandhiji, they decided to keep their demands by him before the British rulers. They asked to reduce the taxes because many epidemics, many disasters had occurred in the country that time. So all the people were very helpless to pay the taxes to the British ruler. Next, that is the Rowlatt Act. What was this act? This act was made in 1990. This was very brutal and anti-constitutional act for the Indians. It means that without any trial, any person of India can be declared as criminals and she should be sent to jail. This was very inhumanitarian and oppressive act by the British. Emboldened with this success, Gandhiji in 1919 decided to launch a nationwide satyagraha against the proposed Rowlatt Act. This act had been hurriedly passed through the Imperial Legislative Council despite the united opposition. Gandhiji wanted non-violent civil disobedience against such unjust law. We should start with a hartal on 6 April. Rallies were organized in various cities. Workers were on strike in railway workshops and shops closed down. Alarmed by the popular upsurge and scared that lines of communication such as the railways and telegraphs, would be disrupted. The British administration decided to clamp down on nationalists. Local leaders were picked up from Amritsar, and Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering Delhi. On 10th April, the police in Amritsar fired upon a peaceful procession, provoking widespread attacks on banks, post offices, and railway stations. Martial law was imposed and General Dyer took command. In this way, different types of agitation, hartals, and rallies started against the British power. As a result, many were injured and they were sentenced to jail. Next, we shall discuss so many things.